Hey everyone, we're live here with Is Love Blind? Usually talking about Love is Blind, the Netflix hit show. We are here with breaking news. Da 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 da. I'm Neil. I'm here with my co-host Shelly.
Hey everyone.
And if you paid any attention to our full episodes, you'd know that we were planning on potentially covering The Bachelorette coming up. We were debating new content because obviously It's Love Blind is only really capable of being made. Love is Blind only comes out twice a year in the US. So, what else were we going to talk about? And then, lo and behold, The Bachelorette is canceled. Um, Seemingly out of nowhere. And then there's been a huge talk on the internet about it. I am less in that news cycle. So I'm going to turn it over to Shelly. You've had some thoughts. I'm very, as the previous episode, I'm very unknowledgeable. I'm barely knowledgeable on the whole situation. So
Okay, so I'll just give you a synopsis of Mormon Wives and The Bachelorette and what went down this season.
okay,
Um, so, um, I'm sorry. Can we pause? My light went out.
oh sure,
Sorry. I don't know how that happened.
I'll vamp. Bum, 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 bum. It's actually easier for me just to vamp, but you know. Anyway, yeah. So thank you for all of your views and support. We really appreciate it. We're beginning some real traction, tearing it up on YouTube and Instagram and TikTok. So thank you all for that. Like, subscribe. This is probably gonna be a serious episode. I'm trying to take it late this time. Still working with technical difficulties, new equipment, upgrading for your benefit. Integrated camera on my laptop is terrible. This is a good camera. It's pretty fancy. It's pretty nice. Link in the description. I'm kidding. Um, we're probably almost back. I think Shelly is right there. Boy, so good with the green room. I was vamping. I guess I should have vamped for long while you were selecting the color on the ring light, but
My light went out completely. So,
technical difficulties. It happens. It happens. I'm sure my ring light diffuser is going to come back because I put a little diffuser scenario on mine to soften it up a little. Anyway, proceed.
Proceed. Okay, so yeah, I'll talk a little bit about, like I said, Mormon Wives, The Secret Lives of Mormon Wives, and The Bachelorette. So, background for you. Secret Lives of Mormon Wives came out a few years ago. It's about a group of women in Utah who are Mormon. They got internet famous on TikTok for doing this group called Mom Talk. So it's like a bunch of Mormon moms dancing. And the whole point was to kind of shed some of the stereotypes around Mormonism and, Mormons can have fun, that whole thing.
Okay.
So that's where the premise the premise of the show actually started with Taylor Frankie Paul. And so they were all TikTok famous at this point. And she makes a video one day talking about how her and her husband are both Mormon and they engaged in swinging and soft swinging. And she kind of invented that term there. And that's why they were getting a divorce. So that kind of blew up. And then after that, Secret Lives of Mormon Wives came to be a show. So now we're in season 4 of it. We've seen it's about a group of, some people keep floating in and out, but a group of 8 to 9 women. And
Okay.
the majority of them are married and kind of going through relationships with their husbands and what that looks like, raising their kids, that sort of thing.
Okay.
So Taylor Frankie Paul has been dating this guy named Dakota for a couple years now. So she was married, got out of that marriage, and then got into a relationship with Dakota. So in the very first episode, you see them kind of in a domestic situation. The cops have been called,
In
and
the first episode?
yes, First scene, first episode. Yeah.
See,
Um,
when people ask me why I don't watch Secret Lives of Mormon Wives, Shelly, you've just given me the only justification I ever need. I the first show for the first episode for this reason, I am out.
all right. Well, fair.
I mean, for the show, but let's talk about it because
Yeah.
I'm happy to judge people on the internet, but I'm not going to dedicate any of my time or
Right.
effort into watching them.
Right.
I'm
Okay.
sorry,
Yeah.
I can't hate watch certain people. I don't like watching privileged people behaving badly, so
Yeah.
it,
Fair.
it bothers me.
Yeah. That's okay. The rest of us will watch it for you, and I'll just
Exactly, you can
tell you.
watch it, and I'll just shit on them all day. But
Yeah.
we don't have. I mean, there's a lot of crap to go around though, so
Yeah.
it's fine.
So first episode that happens, they're in a domestic kind of situation. The video that is circulating around now about Taylor Frankie Paul that was taken or that incident happened that same time. So that's the same incident that they're detailing that first episode, first scene. So the video that's circulating around now, I'll get back to that in a second, but that is 3 years ago when that happened. Um, so I'll get back to that. I see you having questions.
Wait a minute. Okay,
Yeah.
we can connect that. Okay, but wait. The incident that set off The Bachelor being canceled was covered in the first episode of Mormon Wives?
Yeah, 3 years ago. Yes. I'll continue. Maybe it'll make sense in a second.
Okay.
So we see
I
them.
doubt it, Shelly. I doubt it'll make sense, but you can try.
I will try. So you see them in this Dakota and Taylor in this relationship. It's very toxic. That next couple of seasons. Season 3, she kind of goes to this character. So let me back up. Actually, season 1, whatever happens. Season 2 is beginning. She's really upset because she finds out that Dakota has lied to her about the start of their relationship. He was in fact sleeping with another girl. He'd lied about that for years while she was pregnant. She confronted him so many times. He continued to lie. She heard about it from the girl herself. So one day they're sitting at a picnic in her family's backyard, and her parents are kind of defending Dakota. And the whole relationship, at least at the beginning, they were defending him. They're like, Taylor, you need to work this out. You're pregnant by him. They're very much encouraging that because of, I think, their religious background. So she continues to try to engage in the relationship with this man, even though she kind of, rightfully so, is very upset with him because he's gaslit her, manipulated her, lied to her, cheated on her, all the things. Yeah. So fast forward to the end of season 3. So he finds out she's going to be on The Bachelorette and gets super pissed off. And yeah, it's just not okay with it. Now we're in season 4, which is currently airing. He's not thrilled that she's going to be the Bachelorette. He's trying to pull all these moves like, I love you, I hate you, I love you, I hate you. He goes on this trip where like all her friends and her husbands are there because he has friends with the husbands. Shows up. She has another guy come over. He gets jealous. They end up in bed together. It's a whole toxic situation. All her friends at this point are like, get away from this guy. He is awful. One of her friends goes on a podcast about 9 months ago and, talks about how toxic he is and how he tries to sabotage her at every turn and how she herself has been in an abusive relationship so she can see the signs. And so even her mom at this point is getting frustrated. Like everyone's getting frustrated. So they're like, you know what, just go on The Bachelorette, get out of the situation, meet a different guy, get out. And she's like, I agree, I need to get out, but I'm stuck in this toxic cycle. So she goes on The Bachelorette, obviously dates 30 guys during her season, ends up engaged to one of them. Apparently, according to spoilers, he flew down to see her in Utah about a month later and she broke up with him. And not sure what happened after that exactly. There's reports saying that she temporarily got back together with Dakota. Don't really know what happened there. There was another altercation that happened between them at the end of February. So filming for Mormon Wives had stopped. So this all came out last week. And then somebody, we think it's Dakota, it's not been verified, released the video of what happened 3 years ago to TMZ. And supposedly Dakota sold it to TMZ for money. And it was sold or actually shown to the world on their son's birthday, his second birthday. So the
noise.
So the Bachelorette sexually.
Nailed it, Dakota. You're nailing it.
So the
I love it. You know what? I'm just saying, every fucking prove me wrong, men. Prove me the fuck wrong.
Oh, it gets so much worse.
Prove me wrong, buddy. You fucking sell that to get released on your son's birthday, you tragic bitch. And I'm talking about Dakota. He's a tragic bitch.
Yeah.
What? Fuck this guy. What the fuck?
So,
I'm
in
disgusted.
one of the podcasts, her friend is talking about how he sabotages her at every turn. So she'll have press to do, or she'll have like something big. He'll pick a fight with her, then she'll be too upset to go attend the event. She ends up backing out, etc. So this past Sunday, yesterday, her premiere of The Bachelorette was supposed to happen. And all this information came out on Thursday. So this video has been sealed in court documents for the last 3 years. All of a sudden, TMZ has it on Thursday and it's aired everywhere, and ABC has pulled the plug on The Bachelorette because of the video. So yeah, that's what happened. So when it happened 3 years ago, she was arrested at that time. She did have charges against her. They all got dropped, and she ended up on probation. I don't know if you said you've seen the video, but in the video, she is seen throwing 2 stools at Dakota. It looks like one of them, her child was in the room at that time. She has then said she didn't know her child was in the room because they were out somewhere and they came back. She thought the child was upstairs with the babysitter. The child is crying in the video. It's not clear if the chair hits the child or not. There's a lot of debate on that. I don't think it did, just because all the charges against her were dropped at that time. And there was a full investigation that happened at that time. Not a good look, but still. Obviously, she was not aiming. No, she was not aiming for a child. She was aiming for Dakota. So that's where we are. Any questions?
Why, God? Why? I don't know. Like, it's just, this is awful. I feel terrible for their children. And may God have mercy on all of their souls, I guess, because these people need, like, also, yeah, that's awful. But yeah.
Oh, it's bad. The video is bad. So watching it, I was definitely triggered. So just for context, I've been in my 20s for 4 years. I was in a relationship with a guy who's physically and emotionally and mentally abusive. So watching the video was actually very triggering for me, but not because of her behavior, because of his. You know, I know she is seen throwing stools at him, but it's the way he's like, look at your behavior, look at how crazy you are. This is physical abuse. The way he's like saying those things to her is very reminiscent of what my ex-boyfriend would do to me. He would put his hands on me, or he would threaten me in some way or do something. I'll go through several examples of what happened. And then he would turn around and be like, look how crazy you are. Look how you're reacting.
Whoa.
And so it was always like my fault, basically. So I'll just go through a few.
I'm sorry. I mean, that's awful. I'm sorry you had to go through that. That's just, I've not been in that type of relationship, dating wise, but I do know emotional abuse is not good.
Yeah.
And I get it. And so it's awful. And I have seen, you know, that's something you brought up, was the like reactive abuse. And so I think that's what people don't really realize. And so you had brought up some points. Yeah, we talked about it a little bit pre-show. But yeah, like, I think going through talking about it is go for it.
Yeah. So watching that video, I think what we were seeing, obviously, I will preface as saying I do not know Dakota, and I do not know Taylor Frankie Paul. And I probably never will know either of them. But I can tell you like what I went through and what my experience was as someone who has been in an abusive relationship and what that looked like for me. So like I said, my ex-boyfriend would do things to me and like I would have a reaction, and my reaction is what he would base everything on. So one night, this is one example of years of abuse. One night we went to a party. It was like kind of like a work event for him. And one of his friends was there, and he grabbed my ass, and I told him, you know, not to do that. And I think he felt embarrassed or bad. I don't know what he felt. he should have felt bad, obviously. But instead of owning up to it, he went to my boyfriend and told him that I was flirting with him. So we get back to my boyfriend's place, and he starts yelling and screaming at me, calling me a slut, a whore, a cunt, every word you can imagine. And that night he didn't actually put his hand, well, he pushed me a few times, but that was the extent of that. But I was like, just started reacting because I was so frustrated because like his friend grabbed my ass, but I was being accused of flirting with him. So I tried to get away. I tried to leave. He blocked me. I got as far as the kitchen, and with all the commotion, his roommate woke up and saw me there, like hysterically crying. And my boyfriend was like, I don't know what's wrong with her. She's just crazy. And so, like, I looked so unhinged in that moment. So the boyfriend was like, or his roommate was like, you need to leave now. So I didn't have any shoes. I didn't have my purse. I didn't have anything with me. My boyfriend walked me out. He had my laptop bag, and we went down to the pool area. He threatened to throw my laptop in the pool. I was still upset and crying, obviously. The building manager or somebody like that came by and saw me reacting hysterically, saw my boyfriend just standing there innocently. And I was told I needed to leave the premises immediately or the cops would be called. So again, I was in a cocktail dress. I had no shoes on, nothing on me, just whatever. And the guy would not let me like go get anything. And I was like drunk too at this point. So I ended up.
Was this like Uber times where at least you could Uber like easily? Because so like I think people need to also keep some of these things in mind when like you might think like, oh, she probably just Ubered home, but like remember back in the day where like that's like stranding you. That's really fucked up. That's really fucked up.
Yeah.
Like, and not letting you get your fucking laptop, like
no.
Or even your shoes? Like, what the hell is happening?
So I got freaked out. So I ended up walking into the woods because I didn't know what to do. And I hid there for hours.
What the fuck?
I saw the cops come. I thought I was in so much trouble. So I kind of waited in the woods for hours because I didn't know what to do. I didn't know where to go. My boyfriend had called my parents, who called the cops, and told them that I got in a car with a random stranger, which isn't true. So I don't know where he made that up from, but yeah. So yeah. So I eventually, like, it got to be, I don't know, 5:36 in the morning. I made my way back to the apartment because I thought everyone was gone. It was clear. I could like just go get my stuff and go home. Found my boyfriend. He was like, everyone's looking for you, this, that, and the other. And the police were there. My parents were like, it was bad. All I wanted to do at that point was get away from him. And so I went home. My parents took me home. Hours later, I had to go to class in the morning, and he, manipulated me into coming back and giving him a ride to his car. So I did, and we fought again. And a couple of days later, the police had called, and they wanted me to give a statement because they felt like that might have been an abusive situation for me. So my boyfriend knew this, and he called me right before. And he was like, I was raped in college, and I reported it within hours of that happening. And it was a whole thing. And so my boyfriend obviously knew that had happened. And he was like, this is what you do. You lie about these situations. You lied about your rape. And so he got in my head so bad. So by the time I went to go talk to the police, I ended up just covering for him completely because I did feel he got in my head so bad with all the guilt and everything. So that's just one example. Yeah. So how I reacted that night, after that, I was banned from going to his apartment by his roommate because he thought I was completely unhinged. he had a conversation with my boyfriend that he should break up with me because I was unhinged and crazy. And so if you look at it from that angle, like that's what I looked like, but that was everything that was happening behind the scenes that no one else saw.
Yeah. 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 I mean, yeah, that's, I think the challenge is I've seen a lot of those behaviors, but I'm also an empath, so I notice those behaviors. So, for instance, statistically, you should probably think, who's probably the abuser here? Let's just start there, right? So,
Yeah.
like, friends and family should start with, like, the roommate comes out and thinks, you're unhinged? And
Because
then,
I'm the one
like,
crying. Yeah. My boyfriend's just standing there innocently, like,
oh, because you're crying?
mhm.
Because of God forbid a woman cry. They're hysterical. Because here's what it is: woman crying equals hysterical. Man screaming and punching a wall equals normal. That's called having feelings. Because there's only one feeling: anger.
Yeah.
And so that's horseshit. What the fuck? Like, I mean, I hope at least your parents believed you in that case, because this is like crazy manipulation. And
Yeah.
the crazy thing is, people don't believe that I can see it, but I've also lived it. Like,
Mhm.
I grew up in a house with narcissists,
Yeah.
and I was the least powerful of them
Mhm.
in all ways. I was the
Mhm.
youngest, I was smaller.
Yeah.
They were significantly, like, I have, my brothers are very much older than me, each of them. So I had to learn how to manipulate and handle narcissists. And this is like classic narcissist behavior, is this: they make you react
Yeah.
and then gaslight you and then turn everyone else, and it makes you feel fucking crazy.
Oh, yeah.
And then all of the people around you are like, Shelly's the crazy one. And it's like,
Mhm.
is she?
Mhm.
Like I think the hard thing for me is I have a very visceral, like, there's a point at which very few people, when I fully lash out, don't back down
Mhm.
and say, oops, maybe Neil has a line. And that line gets scary when it's crossed. And I'm
Yeah.
not saying I'm like one of those guys, but like I get have a very strong self defense reaction that gets overblown as well. So my urge is probably more like, if I were in that situation, I would probably be is it, do they call her, is it just Taylor? Is it multiple? Do they, she go all three? What's the actual, how did he refer to?
Oh, Taylor Frankie Paul?
Is it Taylor Frankie or just Taylor Frankie? Do you always say all three
Taylor
names?
Frankie Paul, TFP, Taylor Frankie. Taylor Frankie Paul
Anyway,
or Taylor's fine. Yeah.
okay. Because I was like, do people just say Taylor, or are they like, no, that's for Swift only? But like, I don't know. But like, yeah, it's so, like, I feel like if I were in her, I get, like, if I were in
Mhm.
that situation, I would probably react violently as well. When
Yeah.
you get to a point of like, I'm physically, now I feel threatened,
Yeah.
like, we're going. And
Yeah.
so I guess, like, when you first mentioned it, my reaction was like, wow, she seems crazy. Also, was my first reaction. And then you started being like, oh, that may not. And then I'm like, I don't love that she threw a chair and it
Yeah.
may have hit her child.
Right. Of course.
Also, that I'm kind of like, but I have a very strong child protection response, in
Yeah.
which, like, I also, there's never a point where I would say I didn't know my child was in the room. And I
Right.
have two dogs, and that includes my dogs. I'm never like,
She
where
was
where are my dogs? But
she
you
was
know,
drinking that night, and before that, she had suffered 2 miscarriages. So there was like a lot of hormones going on, and she was drunk that night. She
oh wow,
Yeah.
okay,
So there was a lot going on for her at that point.
yeah. I
Not
mean,
huge,
also
but
being
like
drunk,
that's
not. I mean, I'm out of
no, but
that
I
phase.
think
So.
when it seems like the fight occurred when they first got home, so it is entirely possible she just didn't see the
Yeah,
child.
yeah. Yeah.
Like they weren't like at home the entire night and like she's
Yeah,
like,
I mean, if the kid was sleeping, then you
yeah,
might not know. But yes, also like, but yeah, I don't know. It sounds awful for her.
yeah,
I think the hard part is also like, what do you do? I think like what like my struggle is, what do you do?
hmm,
Because if the person keeps indulging it,
yeah,
right? Like if the person keeps going back, I think the best you can do is like I mean, I've had a friend who was in a fairly emotionally abusive relationship, and the best I could do is just be like, I'm sorry, like I understand, and like, but like, how can you help someone actually get out of it? Is there a
so
way? What can you do?
it takes an average of 7 times for someone to leave an abusive relationship because they don't let you go. Like I tried to leave so many times, I couldn't. Um,
Yeah.
it took him finding somebody else for me to be able to leave. Otherwise, he was never
Wow.
going to let me go.
Really?
Like this person had so much control and power over me. Like I had to dress a certain way when I was around him and not around him. I had to wear my hair a certain way. I wasn't allowed to go out a lot of times. I wasn't allowed to be with friends. He was jealous of
Yep.
everyone. He was cheating on me quite a bit. I never cheated on him, but I was always accused of cheating on him.
Of course.
There was one time we were at a basketball game and he gets up and he never comes back. And I call him and he says he ran into somebody and they told him that they saw me at a bar flirting with another guy, which wasn't true. But he would just make up these scenarios in his head and find ways to like just he abandoned me.
Wait a minute.
Yeah.
You were at a basketball game, and his claim was he bumped into a guy
Mhm.
who said he was that you were flirting with other guys some mysterious other time
Yeah.
that he never let you out anyway, though.
Yeah.
So I know it sounds. I get it. I don't want to sound like an asshole. Like I
No.
it's but like that's
This is the
crazy,
kind
man.
of shit I
Like
lived through.
at some point, I feel like someone has to be like, yeah, man, like you gotta stop. Like this is real
Mhm.
bad, like intervention style at that point. Like that is
So, yeah.
so bad.
Yeah. Oh, it was really bad. Like, I'll go through a couple more examples. Um, just to kind of go through like the mental state that I was in, because it's very different from who I am today. And like, I have worked a lot of years in therapy to heal this and to figure out, my part in it, like why I stayed. That's my only part. Like, I don't do anything to
Yeah.
deserve this,
Yeah,
obviously.
yeah, of
But
course.
like,
Yeah.
what would have
Of
made me
course.
stay or why would I?
No one ever deserves that. Even if you're a shitty person, you
Yeah.
don't deserve that. Like
Right. Right.
everyone deserves a loving, caring partner. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
if you're a terrible person, hopefully they make you a better person. But yes, no one deserves abuse.
No. So another time we went to a concert and we both drank a little bit and we went to the bathroom and I came out and I couldn't find him. So the concert was about to end. So I just like went and listened to like the last song or two. And I was like, I figured I'd just meet him back at the car. So I start walking and I run into him and I'm like, oh my gosh, there you are. His phone was dead. So I couldn't call him. And he just starts screaming at me, thinking in like the 10 minutes I was away from him that I was cheating on him, that I found someone else. Um, he gets extremely angry, so he kicks me in front of everybody. Um,
What?
people saw it happen, so they called the cops on my behalf.
Of course.
Um,
I mean, I
I
hope. I don't know. Unless you really didn't want that to happen, but I guess I.
I didn't want that to happen because I knew the
I'm
consequences of
sorry.
that were worse for me than just moving on. Um, So
Well,
I once again lied to the cops about what happened. Um, we went home that night. We were supposed to go to the beach the next day. I didn't want to go. He manipulated me into going. And we went and stayed with some of his friends. And they, I'm not a faucet. I can't turn on my feelings on and off. Like I was still pretty upset, like that
yeah,
happened, like not even, hours ago, really. Um,
yeah.
from the time, it happened to when we were at the beach with his friends. So we hung out with his friends at a bar for like a couple hours. I wasn't really saying much. I didn't talk much. And then afterwards, he told me that they really didn't like me, that I was very standoffish. I was very snobby. I was kind of bitch, basically. And so it was just like this expectation, I guess, that like I had to be happy or like whatever. So
Yeah.
he would like always kind of manipulate situations, and it would get in my head that like everyone hated me, everyone thought I was awful, and he would like take any
Yeah.
way he could do that to make me feel that way.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
Another time, I had gone to India with my parents, and I came back and I had ended up it was like this page 6 newspaper clipping thing that I ended up in like this Indian newspaper, like a gossip magazine basically, and it was like
Okay.
Shelly and blah blah blah. I had enjoy a girls' night out in the town. It was just really kind of funny and cute.
Yeah.
And I've gone with my cousin and his wife. My cousin owned this nightclub. And so I went with him and his wife. So I was showing it to him because I thought it was funny. He got so mad at me because he said I lied to him about going out in India, but I didn't think that was going out because I was with my cousin, like, and his wife. That wasn't like,
Sure.
I mean, yes, I was at a bar, but like, I was also with family. Like,
Also, didn't one of them own it?
yes, my cousin
Did you
owned
say
it.
one of them owned it?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's not going out. That's visiting family.
Yeah. So he got so mad at me, he pulled my hair, clump of my hair came out in his hands. And then, we're sitting on the couch, I'm crying. And he's like, if you can't be happy, you need to leave. So he drags me out the couch, takes me outside. He lived in a second-story apartment. He threw me down the stairs, and that was that. Another thing, I'll just give one more example, then we'll get into reactive abuse, and I'll tell you what kind of mental state I was
Sure.
in. So I went to a Super Bowl party with him at his friend's house, and I didn't really want to go. Anyways, I ended up going. I had met him there, and I told him I would drive him home, but I had a little bit more to drink than I planned. So the time came for everyone to leave, and I was like, I don't think I should be driving. So I was like, why don't we take a cab, or can we just stay on your friend's couch for a little while longer? And he got really pissed off at me and told me I was like not capable of keeping any promises, and was like, absolutely not. We will not take a cab, and we will not stay at my friend's house. Like, you will drive. So I started driving, and I felt very uncomfortable because I was not sober. So I pulled over into this grocery store parking lot, and he got extremely pissed off at me for pulling over and for not, I guess, continuing to drive him home. So we got out of the car. He strangled me. He took my keys and threw them in the bushes. He spat on my face. And then he ended up walking home. So I kept calling him because I was freaking out. And so went to his house, found him there. He got mad at me again, took all my clothes that were at his house, threw them over the balcony, screamed at me that he was a white man and I was an Indian. And so he was superior to me. And it was a lot of shit. 2 days later, we went out to lunch, and I was trying to explain my side to him. And he told me that he wanted to cheat on me with somebody and give me an STD. So that's how that ended. So yeah. So I can see you reacting to that. You can go ahead.
I mean, I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm sorry. That's just like
That's a lot, for sure.
horrifying for you. I'm so sorry. Like, I don't know. I don't know
Thank
how
you.
to say or do anything that won't minimize it, so I'll just listen.
No, it's fine. So all of that to say, these are the kinds of things that were happening for years. And those are just a few examples. Like, my life was very much this, like, there were
Yeah.
so many occurrences of things happening constantly. And it's one of those situations where, like, things are always happening. Like, there's never a break. Like, you're on this constant roller coaster. And so it's like, yes, I'll be mad about this one thing that happened last week, but guess what? There's a new thing that happened. And it's like, you're just always putting out fires. And while he's doing all these things to me, he's putting me down, he's belittling me. He had me convinced that, I was a scum of the earth. I was ugly. I was stupid. I was like, everyone hated me. he, I was convinced of this. I felt very lucky that he wanted to be with me. Like, instead of feeling like I need to leave this person,
Yeah.
instead I was like, I need to cling to this person harder. Because I was like,
Yeah.
I'm such a terrible person. Who is going to want to be with me? And I felt very lucky to have
Yeah.
him. When I would question him about it, why he, wanted to stay, obviously he didn't have an answer. But it was a lot of crazy making. Like, he would tell me all the time that I was nuts, I was psychotic, I was crazy. At one point, he told me that I needed to check myself into a mental institution. So I went to my mom and told her, I think you need to take me to a mental institution. I was like, fine, okay, maybe I am that crazy. Maybe I just need to go fix this. And, so I went to my mom and I was like, I need to go to a mental institution. And she was like, why? And I was like, because my boyfriend said so. And she was like, what in the world? Like, no, that's not happening. Whatever. But there were times where like I felt like the unhinged one. I felt
Yeah.
like the crazy one. So it was really
Yeah.
hard for me to like speak out. Like, almost nobody knew any of this stuff was happening. I think people
Yeah.
knew
Yeah.
that he was abusive to a degree, but not this degree.
Yeah.
I think they realized there's probably some emotional abuse going on, but I don't think anyone realized it was as
Yeah.
bad as it was for me.
Yeah.
Because I really truly believed that I deserved it. Like, I really truly believed him when he would tell me I was crazy and tell me like he wouldn't do these things if I just learned how to behave. And it's very much this like manipulation tactic. Like, you don't get here overnight. It takes months and years of breaking you down.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
he didn't put his hands on me until I think probably about almost a year and a half in. Before that, there was a lot of emotional abuse, but there was no physical abuse. The first time I
Yeah.
recall him physically abusing me, he pushed me against the headboard of his bed, and I had a bump in my head for about 2 weeks after. But he
Fuck.
convinced me that was my fault because I don't know what his, I don't know. He would just always have a reason. He was very good at manipulating, very good at word salad, very good at like turning all these situations. And so like I would think that I'm the crazy one and that I'm
Yeah.
the one that needs help. So like it didn't
Yeah.
occur to me that like this was him, because this person was like perfect in the beginning. Like, how they showed up was like just this
Yes.
perfect person treated like I was love bombed the
That's
shit.
what narcissists do.
Yeah. But I didn't have terminology for that time. That wasn't talked
Yeah.
about. I mean, this
Yep.
was back in like, we dated from
Yeah.
2004 to 2008. So this was back then.
Oh
So
yeah.
like,
This was pre-therapy speak, folks. So yeah.
like I had been in therapy because I was sexually assaulted, raped. So I was in
Yeah.
therapy for that, but not for this. And it didn't occur to me that like I didn't have language to call this abuse. Like, I would never have labeled it as abuse.
Yeah, yeah. Which I think today, even today, there are multiple women I've talked to who do not consider it abuse, even if it's emotional, even if it's just. Now, yours, I think clearly, as soon as it's physical, just hands down, that's
Yeah.
physical. That's abuse. But there's a lot of emotional abuse that does and can happen that is severely traumatizing, that people just hand wave as like,
Yeah.
no, they're just whatever. But like it is a serious problem, and it causes serious issues for people. So I don't think emotional abuse is something people should even like should dismiss either. So
No, not at all. I mean, I will say, having gone through it, I think the psychological / emotional abuse was worse because that stuck with me. The physical abuse, like, I mean, that was bad, obviously, but
yeah.
I didn't consider any of it abuse. I thought it wasn't physical abuse because he never touched my face. And so when you're being abused like that, like, you will make up all these kind of lines.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was like, it can't be abuse because you never touched my face. So like everything else is just null and void. So I would constantly have bruises on my arms. I was always wearing sweaters and covering up and like,
Yikes.
But yeah, I wouldn't have called it abuse. And like, I really, truly in my core believed I deserved that behavior. Like, I truly believed that I deserved everything that was happening to me. So it wasn't a question for me of like to get out. It was, how do I make this better so I can be with this person who wants to be with me as shitty of a person as I am. So when you ask like, why didn't they just leave? It's because I didn't think I thought I deserved everything he was doing to me, and he was very justified in doing it to me. And I really, truly believe the way he gaslit me and manipulated me and was always like my friends think you suck. My friends this and that, whatever. And like
Yeah.
all these people hate you. And, I heard from so and so that you were talking to some guy about all these manipulations.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
all they did was serve to like make me think like, yeah, I'm truly an awful person. And the world is against me except for him. And so I
Yeah.
truly believed, if I said anything to anybody, I wasn't scared to say anything necessarily. I just thought they would totally be on his side. So I was like,
Yeah.
what's the
Yeah.
point? Like, I didn't
Yeah.
think anyone
Yeah.
would be on my side. I think they'd be like, of course he was going to push you, Shelly. Like, what would you expect? Like, anybody would do that.
Yeah.
Like, that's what was my mental state was during that time.
Wow.
So,
Wow.
like, it took me realizing that he was cheating on me to finally get out. Like, he had been cheating on me quite a bit in our relationship, but every time I would find evidence or ask him about it, like he would, I know for a fact he signed up for singles websites. I know for a fact he sent flowers to another girl. I know for a fact he told all his friends we were broken up. I never got that memo.
Yeah.
He would hand me back clothes or jewelry sometimes that weren't mine. And if I
Nice.
get upset about it, he would just claim that it was his roommate brought a girl over and the laundry got mixed up or whatever. This happened quite a bit.
Wow.
So
See, I think my hypothesis is they do that shit on purpose, and it's a
mhm.
test. It's to see how far they've brainwashed you and
Oh
pushed
yeah,
you. It's like the cult leader who
yeah,
does things to be like, let's just make sure when I'm not looking, you're still following the rules.
yeah.
And so, yeah, it's a control tactic. It's a manipulation tactic to undermine your self esteem.
Yeah.
And yeah, and I think that's the thing that sucks so much about I don't know. I'm not going to do the math on your age or reveal that, but the thing about the dating shows that some of this toxic behavior seems to be tolerated, or reality shows in general, right? Mormon
Mhm.
Wives. Like, I think that's. I mean, I that like people in there like that are 23 that I used to know like when I started my career I or like not my career, my current job. I met some people that were a good bit younger than me that were right out of college, and they were like one of them was like 6 months after graduating was freaked out that like she wasn't getting married because
Mhm.
like so many of her friends had met their college sweetheart and
Yeah.
gotten married, and I wanted to be like, number one, most of those marriages are going to end in divorce because
True.
half of them do, and guess what, a lot of those halves I think are not the first ones. I statistically I think first ones work out longer, but whatever. Once
Yeah.
you get divorced once, you're more likely to get divorced again, I guess,
Yeah.
theoretically. But anyway, so like, but they're like so obsessed with this, and I think
Yeah.
that's part of it is the
Yeah.
like, if I don't find someone right now, like this person, I have to be with this person because they're loving me even though I'm so unlovable, when you could just be like, I don't need to be loved. Like, fuck
It
off,
didn't
buddy. I can do
feel like
my
an
own thing,
option.
right?
It does
And
like
so,
you
yeah,
don't think you have options in that situation. So to tie it back to Taylor Frankie Paul, like we see her go back to him repeatedly. And her
yeah,
friends and family, especially in season 4, are getting so frustrated. They're like, what are you doing? He's awful. Da, 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 da. They're like, go on the Bachelorette, just find someone else, just move on. Because I think they're just at a loss for what to do. And watching the show, watching her, she's really good about communicating what she needs. No one listens to her. Like she'll tell Dakota, which he was never going to listen to her because he's himself,
sure,
but she'll sit there and tell her mom, here's what I need from you. Her mom won't do it. So she's trying to like tell the people in her life, here's what I'm needing for
sure,
you. Here's the validate. Here's what I need. All she's getting from her friends and family at this point is a lot of criticism, a lot of, what the fuck are you doing? Like, why is this happening? Like, there's no one really in this girl's corner to kind of just be there. And that's such a hard role to play. I had no one play that role for me, mostly because no one knew what was going on. But I think that's such a hard role to play for somebody to know what they're going through and they keep going back for it because you're under the assumption that, oh, they like it or they want this to happen or they're addicted to it. That's not the case. You just don't think you can get out. You're stuck in this trauma bond. Like you feel like you need this person because they have created such a
yeah,
narcissistic bond with you that you
yeah,
feel like you can't get out as much as you
yeah,
want to. Like I wanted to leave him so many times. I just couldn't. Like every time I tried, he would find a way to reel me back in. Like it
yeah,
took him cheating on me with somebody else. I think fully starting to date her and me at the same time. Um, she knew I existed. She thought I was a crazy ex girlfriend as well. Like everybody in his life thought I was
Sure.
completely unhinged.
Yeah.
Um, and so they do that, and you see this, Mormon wives. Everyone and like all the people on Dakota's side, like think Taylor's unhinged, and they're like, leave her alone, da 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 da. Da.
Of course.
And so when you have that many people thinking that about you, like you start to believe it yourself. Like I said, I went to my mom and told her I needed to be in a mental institution because I truly believed that I was the problem.
Well, see, here's the other thing. See, this is where people I'm doing this from a very strong place of having lost like most fucks I've ever had to give. And so I've had to harden up a lot
Hmm.
since multiple tragedies and whatnot. So I'm kind of like, sometimes you do have to think logically and realize that and try to like get people to stop being stupid. And you have to show them logic versus stupidity because here's the real truth. If like when you're saying like if everyone around, I guess if everyone around them doesn't see the abuse, but like the person says like I'm terrible,
Hmm.
why would he be with me? I'm lucky to be with this person.
Yeah.
But then everyone else is telling that person they're crazy for being with you. The reason is they're too stupid to notice that it's because they're controlling you and that's what they want.
Yeah.
Because it's pretty obvious that you can't, that like no healthy, rational person would put up with you if you were that person.
But you can't see that at that point. Like you just feel so lucky. Like logically,
No, no,
yeah,
no.
I
I
did.
mean, I mean the friends and family. This is for the audience. This is
Oh,
not directly for you. This is for the audience people.
right.
If one of your friends, if you're in a situation, let's be real. Let's just play the odds. I'm a statistics guy. I like to play the real world numbers. If you see a man pretending his girlfriend's crazy and overreacting because when she got tipsy, she starts screaming at him about something that seems like there's not a good reason for it, but it seems also way too much for what they're reacting to. There's probably a lot of manipulation and gaslighting going on under that surface. And
Yeah.
if you're thinking, hey, buddy, why don't you break up with that crazy lady you keep saying is crazy to me? You need to think, wait, it's because he's manipulating her. He's the crazy one, and I'm enabling.
Yeah.
You gotta stop his bad behavior. You have to recognize and like I get it. Like, so here's the difference. I don't know. They might be very good with friends. There was a person who I had met at multiple events who presents very friendly and nice. Actually, to be fair, I used to do this when I was like 18 because I had serious problems. I
Hmm.
had very serious emotional problems. I had terrible upbringing. So, like, I was very manipulative and possessive and jealous. And I wasn't physically abusive ever, but I was emotionally manipulative and I would fly off the handle and be really jealous and try and controlling. And I think a lot of my friends who were similar growing up had similar experiences. And then honestly, there's only one solution. And I hate to say it for the abusers out there because this is to me the only way it broke me was actually being with someone who I really cared about and then they dumped me because I was a fuckface that deserved it. And then I literally was like, if they would have taken me back, I think I probably would have just slid back into the old patterns. But they didn't. They were just like, it's no, like it's not gonna work. And I was just like, oh. And then I was like, yeah, that was all my fault. Like, I had no reason to be distrustful. I had no like, and I literally was like, I gotta do something about this. Like, this is all on me. Like, not all of it. I mean, it didn't get there was anyway, but like, I don't know. I think people need to also help support people who are being abused and help because this person that I knew that presented very friendly, their spouse was like, oh yeah, they're super, like they didn't call it abusive, but they weren't allowed to leave the house with certain outfits. And the outfit, it wasn't that they were slutty, they weren't nice enough. Like she wasn't allowed to go out in like sweats because that was like, you look like a frat person.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, that's abuse. And
Yeah.
like they were not absorbed, they weren't ready to like sort of accept that. But again, I'm like, that's abuse. And also not, but so again, I used to do those things, so it's very hard for me to not immediately identify with people who were going through it and recognize some of that behavior pattern. Whereas it surprises me how many people in people's periphery are fucking like supporting the abuser because they're too stupid to read between the lines. Because they do like what Alex did. And they kind of word salad some stuff, and then the people go, yeah, that does sound good. Yeah, that was a good excuse. And it's like, no, it wasn't. That guy's a fucking idiot, and I fucking nailed him to the wall months ago that he was a piece of shit. Like, dump him.
Yeah.
That's our new service, Shelly. We're going to pitch it here. We're going to have a call-in show. You pitched guys you want to date, and I'm going to tell you. We'll tell you we'll give them 2 minutes. You get 2 minutes to pitch us. And if you can't, you're out. You're cut. But in 2 minutes, I'll tell you if they're probably a shitty person or not. 5 minutes. 5 minutes.
But yeah, to tie this all back to, I guess,
but I don't know. I think she. So I'm more now. I mean, I don't love what she did.
No,
I don't want to support her. Also, she shouldn't go on.
She should not have been in reality. No.
Like, no, that's like her family telling her to do that means she doesn't have good support, because that's a very unhealthy, terrible thing for her to do. She does not need that. She needs to learn how to be a whole independent person on their own who doesn't want, or who wants to be with someone and doesn't need to be, because they also have a fulfilling and enriched life that they enjoy on their own.
Right.
Also, she has children, which apparently he has custody of, and used that event. But here's my problem. What the fuck is the problem? If they covered it on a TV show, they canceled the TV show that they knew about it ahead of time because the video got leaked. I'm like, well, they knew what happened and she went to jail. Like, this isn't news, guys. Why are we canceling this?
We see the video now. I think we heard about everything that happened, and she's been, in my opinion, decently honest about everything that happened. She was like, I was drunk. I wanted to hurt him. I did throw stools at him. One of them may hit my child. We don't know. Like, she tells everything in the video, like a couple of years ago on all these different podcasts and interviews that she went on. She wasn't trying to hide anything.
So yeah, like she's talked about it, she said it. Then what's the news, guys? We're just canceling. Now what's this fucking cancel culture all of a sudden? We're canceling women because what? They rehabilitated
them? Yeah.
Like, she didn't even do anything. This was years ago, apparently.
And so I don't know if we probably covered this a little bit, but yeah, they, according to neighbors, and I think I did say this at the beginning, she was screaming for help. He did push her. Again, we don't have any evidence of that, but that's what led to that. So when he turned on the camera, it was when she was reacting. And like,
of course,
all the situations I just told you about my ex that I've been through. At any point when I was reacting, I could 1,000%. This happened in the 2000s or whatever. So like recording people wasn't as big of a thing. I do remember him threatening to record me on multiple occasions. I don't know if he actually ever did. But say it was like today and I was going through this and he recorded me, I would look completely insane. And knowing him, he would have been more than happy to distribute that to friends, social media, whatever, just knowing the kind of person that he is. And so like, I would have just looked completely crazy. I think everyone would have been on his side. And I always felt like everyone was on his side because that's how he manipulated the narrative. And that's why I was like, there's no point me telling anybody anything because they're all going to be on his side. So instead of trying to figure out how to get away from him or anything like that, literally, my only goal was to figure out how to keep him happy. So I would sit there and anticipate 3 steps ahead of how I could keep this person happy. And I failed every time because the goalposts were always moving. At
Yeah.
one point,
Yeah.
he told me he wanted to be with somebody, I kid you not, that went to strip clubs and did cocaine off strippers. And that's the kind of girl he wanted to be with. I couldn't get into the part about doing
Nice.
cocaine off a stripper, but I do remember going to strip clubs with him and like trying to be the cooler girlfriend because I wasn't cool enough,
Wow.
apparently. And then it turned into, you know what? I need somebody who's really wholesome and doesn't go out and this, that, and the other. So I try to be that person. So I was always, the goalposts were always
Oh, of
changing.
course. Yeah.
And I was
Hmm.
always trying to live up to what he wanted me to be because I didn't understand narcissism. I didn't understand, love bombing. I didn't understand how the mask just falls.
Yeah.
All I knew is how he treated me in the beginning. And I was always desperate to get back to that. And I
Yeah.
kept thinking if I could just be good, as he would say, he would go back to how he was. So I was
Yeah.
always trying to invent ways to go back, to figure this out, to like try harder. So my mindset wasn't even let me get myself out. It was like, how can I get this person to treat me nicely? Because I thought, and he would tell you this, that like his behavior was dependent on me. Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
he,
I mean, I think that's why, like, you can't, like, again, if you're entertaining that dynamic, you're not in a place to adequately judge a partner, so you shouldn't go on
no,
Bachelorette. So again,
no,
that's where I'm like, yeah, all this sounds really bad, and maybe she shouldn't be a reality star, and she should, like, I don't know, get an accounting degree and just work a job for a little while because she seems like she's not doing so good, and this pressure and lifestyle is only going to make it worse.
no. I think so. The show is interesting. So season 3, you really see her go through therapy. Like she goes to some kind of therapy camp. She seems better. And she seems like she's really in a place to move on. And then season 4 happens and it's like, oh no, this girl is
Yeah,
not in any kind of place to be on that type of show.
yeah,
I think her friends and family are just encouraging it because they want her to get away from him so bad. She literally can't. Like she's stuck in this bond with him that's like really hard to break. And like
but
the thing
she
is when you're in a
can,
relationship,
Shelly. You
do it.
can do anything.
You can, but it's hard. Like people think it's easy. It
It
is not.
is.
No, it
It
is
is.
not.
I know. No, no, no. I meant it is. I meant yeah. I agreeing that it is not easy.
Oh, okay. I was
I'm
like,
agreeing that it is hard.
yeah,
I'm saying it can be done though.
it
Like
can
you
be done, and she
do.
will
Yeah.
do it. It just takes time. It doesn't happen on anyone else's timeline. It takes a very long time to do, and it's
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
quite literally the hardest thing to pull yourself out of. And like she keeps saying, like no one gets what I'm going through on the show, and that's true. Unless you've been in a situation, you have no idea what it's like. Like you
Yeah.
think
Yeah.
you look at it from the outside and you're like, well, if he's doing this for her, why doesn't she just leave? It's so simple. It's not. They don't let you leave. Like you're
Yeah.
still tied to this person emotionally. They will not let you go. They will throw everything in the book and more to get you to stay.
Yeah.
And they will manipulate you. They will lie to you. They'll convince you they've changed. They will tell you everything under the sun. Like it is not easy to get out because like you're also not in your right state of brain. Like you're not in a stable mental state. Like throughout my
Yeah.
relationship with him, like I was not fully thinking clearly or like in a healthy state of mind. Like my only goal, because he made it that way. He's a narcissist. My only goal was to figure out how to make him happy because that's what he
Yeah.
wanted. That's the
Yeah.
situation. That's the environment that he put me in. And I thrived in that environment because that's what he created for me. And that was my
Yeah.
only goal. My only goal wasn't how to
Yeah.
get, myself out or anything. I was never thinking that. I was thinking,
Yeah.
how can I get him to treat me better? How can I focus on him? How can I love him more? How can I get him to stay? And he created, like, I do have anxious attachment. I don't think I had, because I've gone through a lot of childhood, you know, trauma therapy and all this stuff. So like I did obviously have some abandonment issues, not that extreme that I would be, but like there are reasons that I was in this situation and that I stayed
Yeah.
for sure. Um, but I was so scared of losing him because I was convinced that I would never meet anybody else. And this guy really didn't have a lot going for him.
Yeah.
He, you know, worked, I guess. I don't know what to say about that.
That's yeah. I mean, it doesn't like again. I don't know what any of these people are giving the person. Again, I think it is. it's a self-esteem thing. It's a people
Yeah.
pleaser thing.
Yeah.
Narcissists find people pleasers and they exploit them.
Yeah.
My trigger has never been the relationship. So I've not been on the receiving end of that. I've been on the dishing end as a manipulator, and it took a lot of work to subdue those tendencies. And
Yeah.
so I try to be much more rational and reasonable, and I try not to be too much in my head, and again, therapy stuff, talk
Yeah.
about it, do things. But I have been on that like work side because I'm insecure attachment to bank accounts, and so I am terrified to be poor. And so I worked a job basically for a narcissist, to the point of like, people are like, ha ha ha, every boss is a narcissist, but like this guy would like ask me to come into the office at 8 a.m. and sometimes we would not leave the office other than to go to the bathroom until 6 p.m. And the entire time he was just whiteboarding his ideas, and all I was to do basically was like nod along and agree mostly, and then kind of add little inputs that embellish.
Yeah.
And he paid me a lot of money for that, and it made me want to kill myself every day on the way to work eventually and home. I thought, boy, I could just drive into traffic. And I literally thought that a bunch. Because, and again, people, and I was like, I could quit. Then what if I like become destitute and unhoused and starve to death on the street? And
Yeah.
so I get it. And other people would have been like, hey, idiot, you could have found any other job. And I could have.
Yeah.
And I couldn't believe that. And so it's the same thing if you're in the relationship. You think someone can go, Shelly, you're insane. You could just date a better guy. And you're like, there are no better jobs. There are no better guys, right?
Yeah.
And you get, so like, I get it. And so
Yeah.
I'm in a different, but like, I think that's a different perspective that I didn't really think about. And like her, but man, this thing is a fucking mess. And like,
So it gets better or worse. I'm not sure what the word is. So another person on the show, another cast member, her name's Jessie. So her husband, Jordan, has known to be emotionally abusive. And we've seen that. And she did kiss another guy at some point. They've been separated. They're trying to work on things. The same day this video dropped of Taylor Frankie Paul, Thursday, he filed for divorce from his wife. Him and Dakota, this guy Jordan and Dakota, are besties. So I don't think it's a coincidence that both of these things happened in the same day. Now, Jordan is very jealous of Jessie's success in general. So he's trying to ride her coattails. So this season, or even last season, they created this thing. There's Mom Talk that I told you about. They created Dad Talk. So he's like the leader of this. And he's trying so hard to ride her coattails. So he has been abusive to his wife. He files for divorce on Thursday, and the next day he files a restraining order against her because she's about to go on all these podcasts and speak her truth, and he doesn't want that exposed. So he's doing everything he can to get all these restraining orders to keep her from talking. So just the timing of everything, like Dakota's had this tape for 3+ years, and to me, it's pretty obvious. I think he released it to TMZ for money. And he did it to sabotage her right for it. Because she could have released this at any time. He had 3 years to do it. And you can argue all day that, like, whatever. That, like, it's really hard for me as someone who's been in an abusive relationship to also not see his side. And, like, it's that he's finally getting, to speak his truth or whatever. But I just don't see it that way. Like, it's really hard for me to see his side of this, especially seeing how he treats her on the show. Like, if he was just some innocent guy, I wouldn't even have these thoughts. But just watching him, like, I strongly feel this is reactive abuse. Obviously, if more information comes to light, I'm willing to change my position on that. But as of now, I feel like, yes, what she did in that video was abusive, but I feel like he is the abuser. And I don't think either of them obviously needs to be on any kind of reality TV show for now. For him, I don't know, whatever. He is who he is. For her, I really do hope like she'll spend some time to heal herself. And I was rooting for her so hard. Like, I was really excited for her to be the Bachelorette because she just had such this incredible arc of like
Yeah.
being in this relationship with a shitty person, starting off the show this way, ending up what we thought was like a healthy state of mind, and great, she's ready to go on Bachelorette, like yay, she's ready to
Yeah.
move on, and
Yeah.
great. And then, this season happened and whatever happened with her.
Yeah.
But it just seemed like a really cool like redemption story, and like, okay, yes,
Yeah.
like, and so I think a lot of people online are, obviously questioning, like, why are people defending her? But I think it's because a lot of us have been in those kind of abusive relationships, and Dakota's so triggering as a person for somebody that has, because like you just see it, like it's like
Yeah.
so obvious to me that he's abusing her, and I
Oh
can't
yeah.
see it any
It's
other
really
way.
obvious. Yeah.
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 And so for me, I'm like, no, she should not have done what she did on a video. But again, that's the whole point of reactive abuse. They push you to a point that you
Yeah.
can't come
Yeah.
back from. So for me, like I never fought back because frankly, I was scared he might kill me at times.
Yeah.
Um,
Jesus
so I didn't
Christ.
fight back physically. So I would always usually take it. Like my thing was I would cry was what I would do. I would cry and I would get hysterical,
Yeah.
but I didn't fight back. Didn't fight back verbally either. I didn't do anything. I just took it. And I think for me, that was my way of protecting myself or de-escalating the situation, because
Yeah.
there's a lot of times where like, what if I had fought back? And there's times I wish I had.
Yeah.
But something like this could have easily happened had I, or
Yeah.
there were times
Yeah.
I truly believed I might not make it out alive.
Yeah.
Because he was in such a state of rage.
Which
So
is
like,
fair. Which is fair. Yeah.
yeah. So I was
I mean,
like,
honestly, the only way you can really deal with it, sadly, it's sad but true, is you can't feed it at all. You just
yeah,
got to cut it off and
yeah,
make it can't be, there's got to be no emotional attachment, pure
yeah,
logic, only
yeah,
minimal communication that you need to manage your life if you have a
yeah,
kid together, and you literally disengage entirely and don't feed them. They feed off your energy. And the only way you break them, and it breaks them. Enjoy it, ladies. I'm going to tell you right now, that's the secret. Disengage. When they start fucking crying and throwing a fit to you over text, and you say, here's what you say. I'm going to give you the fucking words. Do this and watch them spiral and enjoy it. Because there's nothing better than an empath who knows how to weaponize narcissists against themselves. I'm done with them. So here's your secret tip. Say, I'm sorry you feel that way. And then that's it. If they start dishing, you go, I'm sorry you feel that way. If they keep, why aren't you responding? You're being such a bitch. You're stop being blah, blah, blah. Say, I'm sorry, I'm not engaging with this. I'm no longer interested in indulging this.
yeah,
And then if they start threatening to hurt themselves or others, this will shut them down immediately. And this is the only way. And then you execute. You say, in my opinion, now I have not done this, but I have had a wellness check show up. It's embarrassing. So they text the thing, I'm gonna fucking kill myself. I don't know. We're probably getting flagged a million times for what we're saying. I don't know what the YouTube actually is probably cool about it, but we're getting banned from everywhere else for a little while. But like you just say, that sounds really scary. I think you should call a therapist immediately or 911. If you threaten again, I'm calling a wellness check. Don't say another word. And if they text one more thing to you that's violent or threatening, you immediately call a wellness check. Now, here's the thing. Police aren't going to do shit, but it's really fucking embarrassing when they show up at your
yeah.
door and your neighbors are looking, and it'll be the last fucking time they pull that shit. And then you just disengage. But they're going to threaten, and they might try to harm you, but you can't entertain them. You can't see them in person. You
Yeah.
just disengage. You have to cut them off, and if they show up at your door, you got to fucking call the cops and hope to God they try to do anything. But as we'll say probably in our next episode, nothing's going to happen because they don't really help domestic abuse victims very much. But
So yeah, a couple of thoughts on that. So there is this whole psychology, this term called going gray rock. So if you have to communicate them, you act like literally like a gray rock, like the most uninteresting thing there is out there.
Yep.
And they want to get our emotion. They want to get a rise out of you. They want to get some kind of reaction, good or bad, doesn't matter. Because reaction means you care. So yeah, if you can go gray rock, that's what they're looking for. So that's what Taylor does. She reacts to him every time. And he's just feeding off that. Like he will do something. He'll go flirt with somebody, Dakota. He will go sleep with somebody else, whatever. She'll find out and she'll have this huge meltdown reaction. And I think he just thrives on it. Yeah.
She's doomed because she doesn't want to be out of this, and she's feeding off it
I
also
think she
somehow.
does want to be out of it. She can't see herself out. It's not that she wants to be in this. I don't think she does. I
I
think
don't
she
know, man.
literally can't get out. Like she says on the show multiple times this season, like, I want out. She just doesn't know how to get out. And maybe this was her way out finally. Like maybe that she hit bottom with him doing this to her. Cause like, I don't know how you come back from this.
Maybe.
I hope.
I don't know.
Um,
I don't know, man. I think it's pretty bad to start. I mean, the whole thing's pretty bad. The fact that she gets back with him at all after some of these things is pretty egregious now. And like, I think at this point, yeah,
I
I have
think
to
there's,
just play the hard line of like, I get it, I sympathize as much as I can, but I also have to be the voice of reason to say you have to get out of that. You have to stop. You just have
yeah.
to stop. There's a
So
point at which you just got to stop.
yeah. So with my ex, we broke up. The breakup story is insane. I'll skip that part. It is insane. A couple weeks after we broke up, he called me because he had gotten a DUI, and we were broken up at this point. I hadn't really talked to him at all, and he was like, "You have to come pick me up," and I was like, "No." And at this point, I knew he was seeing somebody else, and he was like, "I'm going to kill myself if you don't," and I freaked out. Went and got him. He had taken his keys and like carved his keys, I guess, into his wrist to show that he was serious about killing himself, which was obviously was not going to do anything.
No, that's a cry for help. Also, I guess that I don't know. I'm not going to be offensive. Yeah, it's very ableist if people want to criticize me on suicidal ideation. So let's just say that.
Yeah.
Don't go there, people. If we want to compare some stories, but
Um,
anyway, that
but
is a cry for help, not an actual attempt. At that point, you're not going to fucking kill yourself with car keys. Come on.
no, no.
That's just a fucking pathetic loser trying to play like TV suicide.
Yeah,
Wah! Like that's when you know. That's when you got again. I'm trying to give people clear signs. And if you're autistic, please listen and help your friends when you see these signs.
no.
If that happens, be like, yeah, this is all. Again, that's psycho behavior. If they're threatening to kill themselves because you leave, get the fuck out.
Yeah. So anyways, all that happened. It was a whole mess.
Yeah.
I, picked him up. I canceled all my plans that weekend because I was so worried about him. I ended up calling his parents, calling his sister.
Which is what he wants. And then,
He screamed at me so bad for like getting them involved. But I was like, what do I do? Like, I don't want your suicide to be on me. Like, what am I supposed to do? Like, you've put me in this position. Because I was like truly terrified. Am I killing? Like, looking back, he was just wanted my attention. Because the next day, like I canceled all my plans that weekend. The next day, he decided to go hang out with his girlfriend. He would never call her his girlfriend. She was just his friend. Like he never admitted to me that they were together. But I was like, this is just bullshit. Yeah. Whatever. So eventually, my friends marched me to the AT&T store because this was back in the day. So you had to go to the AT&T store physically and block them, and I did. And then he would call my mom. He would call my friends to try to get in touch with me.
Yeah.
Everything under the book. Finally got done with him. And then for years after, his friends would accidentally call me. And they'd be like, oh, I didn't realize. Oh, hey, Shelly, how are you? Okay, yeah, well, what are you up to? Like, it's been a while. And it didn't happen. It happened quite often. I don't know what he possibly said to these people to get them to do it, but it was bizarre.
Yeah, that's wild.
So at that time, you had to pay AT&T. I can't remember what it was, $10, $15, whatever it was, per month to have someone blocked. So after a couple of years, I was like, probably don't need to be paying this anymore. It's probably done.
Yeah.
I had him unblocked for about 2 months, thinking I was never going to hear from him again. Instead, he calls me. I answer because I wasn't sure who it was, and then realized immediately it was him. I think we had an exactly 8-minute conversation. And he was like, well, yeah, we should definitely hang out sometime and get together. Like nothing ever happened. And I was like, have a nice life. Goodbye. Hung up, went home, blocked him again. And throughout the years, I've had to block him multiple times from multiple places. He has Facebook messaged me. He has messaged me on Instagram. He's done all these things. He's had his sister, or maybe his sister decided to, I don't know, friend request me. Just like any way he can try to squeeze his way back in. And at this point, I just accept it. It's probably going to happen the rest of my life.
Wait, it's still happening now?
It hasn't happened for a few years now, but I am assuming at this point.
I mean, I would just, at this point, I just got to be like, literally, if he ever talked, I mean, I would actually suggest just blocking him again. But your other option is fuck off, loser.
I don't
And
want to
then,
engage with him because that's
you
what he
know,
wants. So I'm happy just to block him and keep it moving.
or as
You
I
know, there's
like,
platforms like
eat a
yeah, but
dick incel, that's a good one.
there's platforms that like, new social media platforms are coming up all the time that like I haven't even considered what his name would be or
Yeah.
I'd never look him up. I have no idea what he's up to in life. But yeah, I just assume he'll continue to keep tabs on me, look at low key stalk me, whatever. Um, but yeah, that's that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I know if I were to ever engage with him, like a couple years ago, he sent me a text because again he got unblocked
Yeah.
somehow, and every time he gets unblocked for even a little bit because I'm like, oh, he's never going to text me again, or call me again, it's fine. He sent me a text a
Yeah.
couple years ago saying like how was he in town? It'd be really great to see each other and catch up. Like nothing ever happened, and I was like, delete block, and then. I
Yeah.
got messages on Facebook and Instagram, just everywhere he can find a way to like squeeze his way in, he will find a way.
Yeah.
And that's what
Yeah.
these people do. And that's why it's so hard to get away because they keep finding ways to reel you back in. And like I've healed so much at this point that I know I'm never going back. But for someone who's just gotten out of that relationship, it's so easy to keep going back. Like, had I
Yeah.
not blocked his number, and this was like way back when, I probably was on my way back at some point. Like, even though he was actively seeing somebody else, like if he had his perfect universe, both of us would be dating him.
Wow.
Like,
I
and
mean,
yeah, because he was never going to let me go. Um, he didn't love me. It wasn't because of that, but it's because, I was there for him. I provided, I mean, my God, like the guy was kind of pathetic.
yes,
Like
they
I
don't
didn't live
want
with
to
him.
lose someone who caters to their
Yeah.
needs
I
always.
didn't live with him, but I didn't actually do this, but at one point he was like, you need to start paying rent because you stay over a couple of nights a week. He had me paying for his groceries. He had me give his credit card for trips and stuff. Like, and he would manipulate me into it and be like, well, you make more money than me and I spend money on you and dinner. So clearly you owe me. So it was just constant like manipulation and gaslighting, squeezing whatever he could squeeze
Yeah.
out of me. So he was never going to let me go. He just
Yeah.
wanted to be with other girls too, and for me to be completely okay with it. And at one point, he even told me, and this was, like I said, 2000s. So before
Yeah.
like polyamory was like really
Yeah.
as commonplace as it now, that like he wanted to be able to see me and date other people, but I wasn't allowed to date other people. And he was like, if you really
Oh,
love
of
me, you would
course.
do this. Yeah. So it was just all kinds of manipulative.
ODP. It's called ODP, one dick policy. It's a very frowned upon in the polyamory and swinging community, as far as I understand.
Yeah. So
Unicorn hunting, not cool, guys.
So yeah, I mean that's a little bit of what I've been through, and that's why I just strongly believe that Taylor Frankie Paul is going through reactive abuse. It's a very hard situation to get out of, and I hope people just give her some grace. And I hope they hold Dakota accountable for his actions because I don't see that happening yet. Like
Yeah.
all the shit storm has been on her, and the video is bad. It is, but I just truly don't think she would have done that had he not done something to her right before.
Yeah.
And I think he's smart enough to turn on the camera as soon as like she starts reacting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, again, yeah, I don't know. She doesn't know how to get out. I don't know how to get her out. I don't know how to get anyone out of anything. All I know how to do is tell you the best advice I got. Maybe they'll see it for themselves. She's never going to hear this, but if there's anyone out there who's experiencing it, I'm not trying to sound very crass, but at the same time, sometimes I really have to because like giving an inch of like, I understand, so therefore it's okay to go back. I can still be like, no, this is a terrible, terrible thing. Don't do it. I'll still support you, but please don't do it. Because it's those things where like you see it happening, and I think it's very frustrating. I understand if someone in your support system isn't seeing it. When there are people who see it and they call it out, I think it is important to try to like use that empathy, that support to be like, thank God someone sees I'm not crazy, and then like talk it out with them a little more. Don't isolate yourself, because a narcissist wins by isolating you.
Yeah.
That's how it's how cults form. It's like narcissists work because cults are run by narcissists, basically, for them, or sociopaths or whatever. But like, or whatever. But like, I mean, people throw these therapy terms around a lot. I'm not a trained therapist, but I think I'm pretty good at diagnosing people that have real tendencies in some of these things that I'm real good at pattern recognition. So like, but like, lean into those people. And like, I don't know what to do when when no one believes you, but like,
Mhm.
for the people that I feel like are there and like hear it, they also need to try to stay empathetic, but also like still realistic and be like, yeah, I get it, but like, please, can you please leave him? Like, can we talk about this? How are we gonna? What steps can we like? And I'm trying to be. I'm not. I'm trying to lighten it up a tiny bit, but like, I think you do have to be like,
Mhm.
you have to have a support system that believes you. And I don't know. I mean, Dakota seems like a shitbag, so I
Yeah.
don't like. He seems like a terrible person, and
I
I don't
mean,
like
yeah.
him at all.
And the season 3
So
reunion, her parents are both on that reunion stage telling him what a shitbag he is, basically.
So
At
yeah,
that,
he sounds like a dirtbag, and I hate him too. So I don't hate her per se. I think it was not great, but now that I like, it all seems like it was nothing since it already happened. She went to jail, did
yeah,
whatever she was going to do. Everyone knew about it, and it's nothing new. And it seems like some kind of weird fucking ploy. It just
yeah.
seems stupid and gross. So like, screw that guy. I hope that guy gets what's coming to him in the form of financial reparations in some way. I don't do physical harm to people, but let's will the universe to crush his spirit and bank account, because that's where we know
He
it'll hurt him.
he did leech himself onto her because she was getting famous and has
Of
been trying to
course.
ride her coattails in. There was an altercation that happened between them at the end of February, so Mormon Wives stopped filming. So, people are saying that's why he released this now. I just don't think that's the case. And like, we don't know what happened between them. There
Yeah.
are reports of, she has said he has claimed physical abuse, obviously. She has as well. We haven't really heard her side about it yet. Um, I mean, it's a very messy situation, but I do feel like hers is reactive abuse. And I just hope he gets held accountable for his end. And I hope people stand by
Yeah.
her and believe her, because I think what she's going through is some of the shittiest, probably the worst time of her life. I mean, on her son's birthday, instead of celebrating his birthday, she gets hit with all this, and then her son gets taken away from her for a couple of weeks. Like, that's
Yeah.
like,
But something, something, something bad. That's what. But that's the thing. Like, manosphere shit is gonna
yeah.
fucking be all over this, and
Oh,
I'm
it's yeah.
I'm not interested in feeding their bullshit. So like, I'm happy to take a stand on her side. That it definitely seems likely that it's reactive abuse.
Yeah.
I'm actually not sure what all of the controversy is now, because all of it seemed to have
It's
been
because of
known. So
the
it's,
video, because
yeah, yeah, I know, I get it, but
people
like,
don't understand
again,
reactive abuse. They don't understand what you go through when you're in an abusive situation. Like, all they're seeing is her react in this video, and they're like, "Oh my god, her child was in the room," and this, and yes, and she hit him with two
yeah,
stools, and yes, she did do all that, yes,
yeah,
but what led to her to get to that point?
yeah,
It is very nuanced, and yeah, I hope we get to hear her side soon.
yeah. Well, it seems like we're not going to have a Bachelorette season, so we are going to figure out what we're going to do. But hopefully, we're going to, not hopefully, we'll have content coming out. And we'll see. Maybe, I think, well, we're going to do another episode around the, I keep forgetting Taylor Frankie Paul. I keep wanting to say Frankie Taylor Paul, and I don't know why, but Taylor Frankie Paul. Because I don't know, it seems like we're going to talk about. It seems like there's a lot of stakes for like the one woman
Mhm.
who did some physical abuse that was on record, but like, there's an awful lot of men that do the same thing, and no one seems to do or care much about the disproportionate side on that end.
Yeah,
And so we kind of want to talk about, like, is that even fair? Like, is that like, everyone seems really appalled, but there's probably, like, not probably, there's a lot of examples of
yeah,
worse behavior, and no one's like blowing up about it.
yeah.
So I don't know. I think that's another interesting conversation. Um, But yeah, thanks for sharing. I appreciate you sharing your experience. I'm again horrified and empathize. You know, that's awful. I don't think anyone should have to go through that. I'm glad you are not indulging that anymore. Um, that behavior is toxic as hell, and I'm glad you're out of that. It's better for everybody, I think.
Thank you.
Um, yeah, so we'll have another episode coming out sometime here. I don't know, actually, probably next Sunday, or maybe if we do we might do something in between. I'm not sure we're going to get another one in tonight. I am fading a little, but we are is Love Blind. We might have to change the name because we're going to be covering more than Love is Blind. So I don't know. Or if you just like it and we keep it, we keep it. We don't know. Maybe I'll do a poll in our community on YouTube. Like us and subscribe us. Comment. All of that engagement helps. Like us, please. Like our shorts. Those really help us. Yeah, at Is Love Blind podcast on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube. We're on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. I think that's all of our plugs.
Mhm.
Taylor Frankie Paul, we're pulling for you. Please get out of. Please don't go on shows. My final plea, please. Someone just forward. I want to make a short of just this. Please just send her this. Please get help and leave this fucking douchebag. This
Yeah.
guy is a douche. His name is Dakota from Utah, probably. Since he's in
Actually, it's
Wyoming.
not. Yeah, I don't know where he's
It's
from.
not where's he from? Wyoming?
Mhm.
I don't
He
know.
moved to
It sounds
Dakota.
like it just sounds kind of like a dick. I don't know.
Yeah.
Watch, someone named Dakota is going to comment and be
Oh, I mean,
very.
his ex-girlfriends have commented on what an asshole, controlling asshole he is. So this isn't.
He's a nightmare person. So let's all cancel Dakota. Let's all cancel Dakota and let's try to be supportive and help Taylor really disengage. Please help
Yeah.
her disengage, guys. Let's help her out. Let's try to actually do the right thing. Maybe like let's be not the internet. Okay, that's our final plea. Let's be not the internet. Let's try to do the right thing. Let's try to do good things. Let's try to be
Yeah.
supportive and helpful.
Yeah.
We'll be back for another episode, folks. Until next time.
Bye, everyone.